Thank you, Doug. We're beginning the next question, and we're beginning with Carol. Carol, the question is, what do you see as the top 3 issues facing the city of Janesville?
I think I'd start with revenue. We are on the short end for state revenue sharing. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I would hope that the council and other parties, other constituencies that are interested in the city would put together a long-term plan to work with other cities to get that changed. I think infrastructure is clearly another issue. We've got roads that are in need of repair. We have a dam that may or may not need to be repaired or taken out. These are not inexpensive needs, and unfortunately what they do is make the choices about spending on things like downtown that much more difficult. I would add downtown, though, and the revitalization as a third need for the city.
Thank you, Carol. Paul?
I believe that we need to make sure that we retain the businesses and the jobs that we have here now. It is so much easier for a city to retain a manufacturing company or a business here than it's so much more expensive to try and draw a new one in. Although we've done that with the, looking forward with the land that we have out on 11 and Avalon Road where we have shovel ready. So we need to attract new businesses and help retain the ones that we have. Infrastructure, whether that be the roads, of course, are one of the main things, the buildings, the dam and everything else that's coming, and the budget on how to make sure that we get as many grants as we can, and we need somehow to convince the state to give us our fair share of the state shared revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Kay?
The things that others have mentioned in terms of the tax base and infrastructure, of course. But I think that we also need to think about helping the city increase the sense that the city cares about more than big business. I've had the chance to talk to some small business owners who have some concerns about what kind of attention they get. And so I think that's one area we could do more in. And if I can say number 4, that is that we think about how diverse we are becoming, and are there some strategies we should be implementing so that our city does a really good job of incorporating all people into what's going on here.
Thank you, Kay. Sam?
Thank you. I think the first one, and still always has been, is jobs in the economy. Like I've said, over the past 4 years, the Janesville metropolitan area, so that includes the city, but a lot of the townships and surrounding area, we've netted 6,200 jobs, almost 10% of those through city council action with TIF developments and loan guarantees. So I think getting better jobs to come back to Janesville, working also with small businesses, people buy homes, that increases the tax base, and ultimately everyone wins. Number 2, I think downtown, revitalizing downtown. The city created a revolving loan fund to help small businesses with facade improvements, internal improvements, and I'd like to see that expanded as we move forward. And also infrastructure, again, like Paul said, roads, bridges, the parking plaza. We need to set these priorities. If we want to have a responsible and fiscally conservative borrowing plan, we need to work these priorities, and I think we have into our 5-year strategic plan, and then update again in 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Doug?
Good. Number 1 would be the infrastructure. The deferred maintenance over the last few years is catching up with us. We had to do it because of our economy and the GM, but now it's time to move forward on infrastructure. We also need to move Janesville forward. We now have a vision and a strategic plan. That's a good first step. We need to focus on the priorities, balancing our needs and wants to position the city for the future. where people of all ages want to live in Janesville and can afford to live in Janesville with the jobs and good economic growth. We need to stay positive. This is a great city. We heard Barry Baditcher last night cheerlead the city. He did a fantastic job. I wish I could have put those words into my mouth before that, but he said it. The third one is communication. People get their communication from so many sources today. It's not just a town crier. It's not just a Janesville Gazette anymore or the radio. The other thing is a lot of people are picking and choosing what they want to believe. They watch certain TV news channels and they have a view of the world and the city that's unique to that station. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Bill?
We need to start working with the state to get our state revenue share up. Instead of $81, and Lloyd's getting $481. We need to work on that right down to the nitty-gritty so we can get our money. Our infrastructure, yes, we need our streets on the outskirts being taken care of as well. Downtown's Main Street, let's hold off on that for a little bit. There is one area down there that I wish they would hurry and fix because I did see a wheelchair dang near tip over one day, and that was right by Paul Ryan's office there on Court Street. The gal came across there and she went like this. Had been some other people there on the street corner to grab her, she would have went down. That should have been grouted out a long time ago and repaired. It was not. We have other streets in the town that needs to be repaired as well. The dam down here, I talked with Sue. It needs to be repaired, not tore out, but it's up to the city to tear it out and spend more money, useless money, tearing it out. Let's just repair it so we've got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. We're beginning another question, and we'll begin with Paul. Paul, income generation is the other side of a budget. Do you have ideas that you would like the city to explore for raising revenue?
At this time, I'm trying to think. We brought up as far as the wheel tax, I'm not too keen on doing those kind of revenue increases. I believe that the $10 right now is a fair fee, and I'm not sure that we need to go higher with it. I'm not sure that I really can think of anything that as far as charging people more. I mean, when you say revenue generating, that means to me higher fees, and I believe that the fees that we have right now, from what I've seen, are at pretty much close to our peer cities. One of the problems that we have is not so much needing to find more income or more fees to generate more income, is really, again, to fix from the state level on down, which we have very little control over, but we need to get that fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Kay?
If he can't think of anything, not sure I will. The economic development area seems like the other kind of natural, other than the fee idea. The most recent that I've heard proposed was the idea that there were these big box stores that wanted to come, and that would be one where I would want to learn more about what it really means in terms of what kind of wages they pay, and is this really, other than having this new building in the town, is it really an advantage, or does it in the end cost us in some way? So I would need to explore that and not just chase every possible new business coming to town. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Sam?
Thank you. This last city council budget for 2015, I feel the council and the administration really scrubbed, turned over every stone to look for income generation as far as increasing ambulance fees for people from out of town. The wheel tax was one mentioned, increasing construction and code inspection costs to actually get to a peer level with a lot of other cities. We were pretty low for a while. But ultimately, the city is not a business. We're a city. We're here to provide services. And a big part of why we're falling behind is Janesville for several years and under Paul's leadership for 8 years, the city was extremely lean and fiscally conservative. And what happened is the legislature and the governor effectively froze the tax levies. And so while they're cutting taxes in Madison and they're looking like the heroes, they're pushing all that down on municipalities, making us look like the bad guys. And ultimately, what we need to do is go to the legislature and tell them that we need our fair share of taxes. We're still getting the same amount of money as back in 2000 as we are now, and things need to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Doug?
Over the last 2 years when I was on the council, a lot of fees had gone up. I think people are getting sick and tired of fees. Although it is a user fee, if you use it, you pay for it. But I think we're at the tipping point on that. But speaking of tipping points, we are thinking outside the box, and our landfill is looking for outside monies. And we just announced that we were tying it in with Beloit. That's going to bring to the city of Janesville, I think if I heard correctly, about $800,000 of income that would have not come here. We should need to look at that a little bit more creatively and see if we can get Milton and other cities to bring theirs here now that we can negotiate on a fair business-like environment, which we weren't able to do. The secret to it, if we want more income, is we need to increase our tax base. That's encouraging economic development to come to Janesville and more houses, which would be good for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Bill?
I can't see raising anybody's any more fees. We've already been raised in nickel and dime too much as it is right now. We've got people leaving, seniors are leaving. They can't even afford to stay in their homes. Just like I said, nickel and dime, the garbage pickup and everything else. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Where are we going to go with it? How are we going to do it? Economic development is about the best way you can do it. Either that or you're going to have cuts more at the fire and police and add the insurance where they have to pay higher co-pays, or maybe combine the fire and police, school, city workers, county workers throughout the Rock County together and get a program together for insurance and put them all together and have it situated either with Mercy Care or Dean Care for a cheaper insurance policy. You know, we need to look into that. Same thing is for our salt. Let's bring it in on rail cars instead of driving all the way to Milwaukee with semis. Bring it back on rail car. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Carol?
I think that most business people know that if you do not grow and attract new business, you soon die. Cutting only works to a certain point. The city needs to be attractive, which means spending money, so that we can attract more people here and a greater tax base of residents as well as businesses. I don't know if there's a dedicated grant writer on the city staff, but there is money out there that's gettable by grants, and if we had a dedicated grant writer, that might be something to look at. Certainly, in my experience, people who do that bring in far more than what they are paid. I also agree with selling services to other localities, and I think the Beloit landfill deal makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Now we're moving to the next question. We're going to begin with Kay. And this is looking at it, what the issue we just discussed about income generation from the other side. So what innovative ideas would you suggest administration consider to keep current services while reducing expenses?
This isn't a unique idea, certainly, but the Friends groups have allowed the Parks Department to maintain all the parks we have with a very lean staff. And because of the Friends, there's support for activities, as well as, I know the trails get groomed at Rockport by the Friends, and other things like that wouldn't happen without that kind of volunteer effort put into maintaining them. So that's just one little thing. that I think could be expanded in maybe some other areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Sam?
Thank you. Well, first off, I think investing in different things like IT and infrastructure is a great way. You know, are the things that we're doing that if we had more technology and infrastructure that could essentially lower the cost, overhead cost of personnel. I think other ideas, like Kay mentioned, I think working with friends groups so that park staff don't have to mow the grass, so that staff can do other things, and then that, again, saves us money. I think a perfect example, too, is the splash pad that's going in Riverside Park. With a splash pad, never more at one time is there 1 to 3 inches of standing water. So we no longer need a lifeguard. And as you know, lifeguards throughout the whole summer can cost a lot of money. And so there's another way to save money by investing in things like a splash pad and then cutting a lifeguard position. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Doug?
We heard some really good ideas last night with the final 4 candidates for the city council seat, specifically about this in response to questions that we asked them. And the one that cut in my mind was to take advantage of the economies of scale by working with other communities, shared services, and go that route. Another one that was in the news recently was the Janesville School Board has worked out a really good deal with the local medical suppliers and insurance companies, and have found a program that really cuts the insurance costs for the school district. I think we could look at that for our staff. I'm not conversant on how our insurance policies work, but I do believe that that is something to be looked into in that regard. So great ideas that we heard from others, and I'm always open for ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Bill?
I think I answered that question a while ago on the ending of the other thing, the sharing with other communities and everything else, bringing in the salt and everything else, that part of it. But for the Friends group, we did do that. We did many years ago help out cutting the parks and everything else. We got told we couldn't do it no more. That's when Steve Schaefer was the city manager. He got madder than a cat because we had people up there helping cut the grass and trimming everything else. So we want to do it, but are we going to get in trouble if we do it in certain friends groups? So as well as we went around the city of Janesville when they shut down the first wading pool up there, we got over 500 signatures. All of a sudden, they still shut her down, and now the River Park Friends group got in there and handled it and took care of it and got it back in together. Let's leave these parks into some of the stuff to the Friends groups and let them handle it. I think they can do a better job in cutting the grass than some of our own employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Carol?
I think it's obviously an ongoing challenge to maintain services, but somehow provide them at a cheaper level. I am familiar from my 38 years in Minnesota, where the police department employed community service officers to handle lower-level complaints, community problems, neighbor-to-neighbor problems. I don't know to the extent to which they're used here in Janesville. I think they may be doing the drug information in the schools. But if there's an opportunity to use people who have the skills and the abilities to deal with lower-level complaints, I would like to take a look at that.
Thank you, Carol. Paul?
Yes, when I was on the council back in, I believe it was around 2004, 2005, we would meet with the city manager and the city council president in Beloit and the city manager from Janesville. We'd meet once a month and discuss different areas where we could share products or the at least the power to buy in larger quantities and get a better price for different things. And we actually also then did that with the school district. And one of the items I remember that we saved quite a bit of money on was light bulbs. We all need light bulbs. The schools need light bulbs. The school administration building needs light bulbs. So that was one thing that we could buy that seemed like a little thing, but it did save some money. The other thing that I would look at is I see lately that we're doing a lot of outsourcing, for engineering of roads, and I was just wondering if we've lost some top people, and instead of doing the outsourcing, maybe we should have city employees doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Well, now we're into the final question, and we will begin with Sam. And this is what I would call the sell yourself question. Sam, how will the city council benefit from your continuing to be a member of it?
Thank you. Well, again, like I've said, I think my leadership and experience and track record of results speaks for itself. The area has gained jobs over the past 4 years. I've taken the lead on several important issues, mainly the fire station and being a champion for that, but also I think on street repair. I think I kind of picked up the torch when Councilmember Tom McDonald left because I asked a lot of questions and got informed. And I think moving forward, on the road repairs, I think has been a big issue, and I think we're extremely close to finally filling that gap. But again, I bring a lot of private sector experience, also public life experience working for the federal government. And also, I think being a younger person and a person from the minority community, I'm able to bring a different perspective than a majority of the city might have. And I think having that unique voice, that unique insight and perspective, I think can only benefit us. And I think diversity is a great thing to have in city government, and I'm glad to see the council moving in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And Doug, how will the city council benefit from your continuing to be a member of
When I sat here 2 years ago, first time candidate, nervous as the dickens, I pledged to the citizens of Janesville that I would devote my time, my energy, and my passion to serving the citizens of Janesville. I want to renew that promise here tonight to the citizens of Janesville that if they elect me, I would continue to do that. I also promised that night that I would bring a no partisan attitude to the city council. There's no place for partisan politics at local government. We need to work together to solve our problems. There's only 7 of us. I also promised that I would not bring an agenda. I do not believe I brought an agenda to it. I approach each issue with an open mind and think it through, do my homework, talk to people, and come to the council and listen to the people that were there. I also promised myself that I would remember what it was like to be on the other side of the podium, how intimidating it can be, and I always promised that I would answer all my votes and to tell the people why I voted in language that they could understand, and I kept that promise. That's good. I'm done.
Thank you, Doug. Bill, how will the city council benefit from your being a member of it?
Well, one thing I think everybody already knows, I'm not a person to back down. I did go out, like the citizens already asked me, to challenge our local government on these petitions, and I did. I done what they asked me, and they know I'm not afraid to do it. I will help every citizen I can in this community. There is no naysayers in this community. We are all taxpayers one way or the other, whether you're a homeowner or a renter. And the council needs to look at that and say, there is no naysayers. And I'm getting sick and tired of hearing them say that on and off of things. And everybody that comes up asking for money, oh, there's naysayers. Well, Jesus, we consider you as a naysayer too if you want money for your corporations and everything. Wouldn't you think that too? But I will back you citizens up as much as I can and to help you out in everywhere I can and every category that I can as much as possible that I can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Carol, how will the city council benefit from your being a member of it?
I am a what you see is what you get person. I am straightforward. I work well with other people. I listen. I am deeply respectful of other people, and I need my husband to stop rolling his eyes at this point. I cannot promise that everyone will agree with every decision that I make or everything that I say, but I can promise that I will be rational, I will have good reasons, and I will always explain them. I want the chance to work with other people to make Janesville a better place, and I ask for your vote on April 7th.
Carol, thank you. Paul, how will the city council benefit if you become a member of it again?
Well, I think, as you know, I was elected in 2000 and reelected 3 times after that and served to 2008. From my experience on those 8 years on the council, I know to say that I know that that you won't always agree with me, and I won't always agree with what you have to say. But you can know that I will do my best, I'll do the research, and I'll weigh the issue and vote the way that I feel that that the research and has shown that this is the best thing to do for the citizens of Janesville. It's a tough job. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of time. I know that from being on for 8 years, and I'm willing to give that. And I'm hopeful that you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And last, but certainly not least, Kay, how will the city council benefit from your being a member of it?
As I said at the beginning, there are some things that I feel like my experience in the past has prepared me for in terms of being able to serve on the council in a meaningful way. And certainly the one that I would hold up first would be the ability to listen and to represent folks who don't feel like they get listened to very often. Not that I'm going to only say what they want to hear, but that I'm willing to listen and help them understand what the situation is in terms of the bigger picture. I'm also results-oriented, and as others have indicated, some of the things that the council has done in the past, I think there's certainly ways that we need to be always looking at what will this really do for us, and are these results the ones we really want? So I'm running out of time, so I will say that I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this and look forward to the election on April 7th and ask your vote.
Well, I want to thank all of you who are here, beginning with the candidates who came and faced this grilling. I want to thank the audience for being attentive and respectful. I want to thank League of Women Voters and JATV for sponsoring this event, and Forward Janesville as well. I want to remind you that this forum will be rebroadcast on JATV and will shortly be, don't be giving me that sign, and will shortly be available on YouTube and the Janesville League of Women Voters website. So thank you all, and we encourage everyone to vote on April 7th.